So a couple of weeks ago I did a video about Liverpool's chances of the title versus our competitors, and those competitors at the time were Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest. A few games has passed now, a few teams have dropped points, and right now it's looking more and more as if Arsenal are our main contenders. I know they're the same points as Nottingham Forest, but for the purpose of this video, I'm looking at Liverpool versus Arsenal as if it's a two-horse race, because I firmly believe it is. I don't think Forest have got what it takes. I hope it doesn't come back and bite me, of course, but I don't think they've got what it takes. I think this has become a race between Liverpool and Arsenal. They're the only two with a realistic chance of winning it. And if you look at the odds, Liverpool right now, you can actually get 1 to 5 for Liverpool to win it, and you can get 5 to 1 for Arsenal to win it. You look at Forest and City and they're about 25 to 1, and then after that it's like 50 to 100 to 1 for the others. So Liverpool are clear favourites. There's very, very obvious reasons. I mean, listen to this list, right? All of these numbers are going to be us versus Arsenal. We've got the most points, 50, versus their 44, and we got a game in hand. We've got the most goals with 50 versus their 43. We've got a better defence than them with 20 versus 21. We've got a better goal difference of plus 30 to their plus 22. We've got more wins with 15 versus 12, and we've played a game less. We've got less defeats. We've got 1 defeat, they've got 2. We've got the most clean sheets. We've got 9, they've got 7. We got the highest scorer in the league with Salah with 18, and the highest assists in the league, Salah with 13. So we're ahead on every single measure. Whatever way you look at it, we're better than Arsenal. And the points tally shows that. Another really good measure of the two teams compared to each other is points per game, home and away. How many points per game are we getting at home and away? And Liverpool are first in both of them as well. At home, we are averaging 2.3 points per game. Away, we are averaging 2.45 points per game. Significantly over 2 in both measures. Arsenal, they're second to us, and a very close 2.27 points per game versus our 2.3 at home. But we've got 1 game to play at home. But they're fourth away from home, and they're only averaging 1.73 points per game away from home. We've both played 11 games away from home this season so far, and we are 8 points clear of Arsenal in the away games. That's where the big difference comes in. If we win our game in hand at home, we will be ahead of Arsenal as well in terms of points at home by 1. So let's look at another measure, win percentage. Liverpool's win percentage is 15 games out of 21, which is 71.4%. Arsenal's is 12 out of 22, which is 54.5 versus our 71.4. Now, if you translate that into points won, out of all the points available, that includes draws as well, we've actually got 79.4% of all the points on offer, and Arsenal have got 66.7. So once again, in every single measure, we're ahead of them. So let's look at attacking options, because one of the things that has become pretty clear over recent weeks is Arsenal are struggling in that area due to a couple of injuries and not having that world-class striker, their lack of a true goal scorer. So let's look at our attacking stats. We've got Salah, Diaz, Gakpo, Jota and Nunez, and they have scored 18, 8, 6, 5 and 4 for 41 goals between them. Now Jota's injured at the moment, so let's take him out of it. That's 36 without Jota, because he's not available for us right now. He might be out for a few weeks. Now Arsenal, they've got 6. They've got Havertz, Trossard, Martinelli, Sterling, Saka and Jesus. Now their numbers will blow you away. Their numbers are 8, 4, 6, 0, 5 and 3. Now their 5 and 3 are Saka and Jesus. They're both injured, so let's take them out. So they've scored 26 to our 41, but if you take the injured players out, we're at 36, they're at 18. Havertz 8, Trossard 4, Martinelli 6, there's your 18, and none for Sterling. So we are massively ahead in terms of our ability, our forwards, to put the ball away. Most teams who win the league do have that world-class striker, that go-to goal scorer who makes the difference. We've got one, Mo Salah, of course, but they haven't got one. Their highest goal scorer this season in the league is Havertz with 8. Mo Salah's got 18. Now, another interesting stat about these two. Mo Salah's got 18 goals, but he's also missed 14 big chances. So he's had 32 big chances. Now, that's typical, by the way. You look at Haaland and Ollie Watkins, the ones who've got high numbers of goals do have a lot of missed chances as well. So Salah's is not a problem. He's converting 56% of his big chances, which is good. Havertz, who's only got 8 goals, has only missed 11 big chances. Now Salah's scored 18 and he's missed 14. Havertz has scored 8 and he's missed 11. Salah, as I said, has got 32 big chances, of which he's converted 56%. Well, Havertz has only got 19 big chances all season. That's one a game. And he only converts 42% of them. And Havertz, I mentioned this in the last video, Havertz is a 1 goal every 2.5 games striker. And that rarely changes for any striker. That's about what you're going to get from him. Salah is 1 every 1.5 games. And that is hugely significant when you're talking about the go-to goal scorer in the team. And sadly for them, it's Havertz. Here's another incredibly interesting stat. Versus the top 10 teams this season, the teams that were in the top 10 when Arsenal played them, they've played 11. They've won 2, drawn 7 and lost 2. They got 13 points out of a possible 33 against the other 9 in the top 10. 1.2 points per game. Liverpool have played 10 games against top 10 opposition. Won 5, drew 4, lost 1. That's 19 points out of 30 versus Arsenal's 13 out of 33. They've got 43% of the points available against the top 10. We've got 63% of points available against the top 10. Again, massively significant. Now, there's one thing that can always get in the way of a title charge, and that is if one team is in the Champions League and one is not. Well, we don't have to worry about that. We're both in the Champions League. We both want to win it. We're first in the Champions League and Arsenal are third. So in terms of qualification, there's no advantage. And in terms of both teams wanting to win it, so they've got to put strong teams out, there's no advantage there either. So I think we can just call that a wash. So every single metric is in Liverpool's favour. Honest to God, I was looking for metrics where I could balance it a bit, but there aren't any. All of these metrics are absolutely in our favour at this stage of the season. But there is one caveat. This is the one where we can afford to get a little bit nervous. And that is if you compare right now 21-22 games versus last season. After 22 games last season, Arsenal had 46 points. This season they've got 44. So they're only 2 points back from where they were. Last season, Liverpool had 51 points after 22 games. Right now we're at 50 after 20 games. Let's assume we win that game. We go to 53. So we're only 2 points better than we were last season, assuming we win that game. And Arsenal only 2 points worse. So if you look at the two seasons side by side up to this point, it's not really a lot different. But those little differences, Arsenal losing 2 and us gaining 2, have made a big difference overall, because last season, after 22 games, Liverpool, believe it or not, had a 5-point advantage over Arsenal, but it was the same games. And because of those little differences, we have now got a 6-point advantage over Arsenal, but we've got a game in hand. So assuming that we win that puts us 9 points clear of them versus 5 last season. But, and there's the worrying bit, we were 5 points clear of them last season at this stage, and we ended up 7 points behind them. So they pulled 12 points back on us. For them to win the league this season, from where they stand right now, they're going to have to pull 10 points back on us. I say only. That's a lot. Although they did do it last season. Now, the thing is, last season Arsenal went on this astonishing run at the end of the season, and they won 16, drew 1 and lost 1 of the last 18 games. One of those games was beating us at the Emirates. Now, we've already got a draw there. They've got to come to Anfield this time, so that's a significant difference as well. Of the last 16 games, let's just talk about the last 16 because there's only 16 games left for them. They won 14, drew 1 and lost 1. They got 43 points from those games. So let's say they do the same this season. Let's say they go on another incredible run where they win 14, draw 1 and lose 1. They'll end the season on 87 points versus 89. So they'd still finish 2 points back of where they were. But here's the thing, can they really do that? Given their results against the top 10 that I just talked about, are they suddenly going to win 14, draw 1 and lose 1 of their last 16? I don't think there's any chance that they do that. With their goal scoring situation, with their injury situation, I cannot see it. But let's assume they do for a minute and they end up on 87 points. That means we need to reach 88 points to win the league. So we would need 38 more points from the 17 games or 51 points left available. So if Arsenal do go on that run of 14 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat, that means they've dropped 5 points across those 16 games. But for us to get to 88 points, which would be 1 more than they can achieve with that, we can drop 13 points from our final 51 and still reach 88. So even if they do go on this miraculous run of 14 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat, it's just an example, we can still afford to lose 13 points and beat them to the title. If I made you a little bit jittery about I didn't mean to, but it is a fact what they did last season. But here's the thing, last season, Saka scored 16 goals last season. He's currently got 5 and he's injured. Trossard got 12 last season. He's currently got 4. Havertz is about the same. He's averaging exactly the same as he was last season. So he's probably going to get about 5 or 6 more goals this season. Last season, Odegaard got 8 from midfield. He's currently got 1. Rice got 7 from midfield and he's currently only got 1. And the big thing about all of those numbers and all those stats and all their goal scoring is that everything went through Saka. He wasn't just their goal scorer, he was their talisman and their assist maker as well, and he's not there. He is the one world-class player I would say that they have, and he's not available to them. So look, anything can happen. I'm not here saying we've won it. That's just a side-by-side comparison of all the stats, and as I say, in virtually every measure we are ahead of them. But there can be injuries, there can be loss of form, there can be not handling the pressure, there can be loads of twists and turns, dodgy refereeing decisions, the whole lot. But given everything we know and everything we've seen about Arne Slot's Liverpool this season and Arteta's Arsenal this season, given that we're 6 points ahead of them right now with a game in hand and have consistently been the best team in the country all season, I know where my money's going. So let's bring it home, lads. You never walk alone. See ya. Ta-ra.